Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in today. I want to talk about something that fascinates all of us: coincidences. You know, those weird moments when things line up in a way that feels significant, maybe even a little spooky. Finding a dollar on the ground the moment you wished for one, thinking of a friend and then they call, or seeing repeating numbers everywhere. We tend to dismiss them as chance, but is there more to it than that? Can science actually explain why coincidences happen? That's what we're diving into today. We'll explore the statistical principles, the psychological quirks, and even the philosophical questions that surround these strange occurrences. Get ready to have your mind bent a little. Let's start with the basics: probability. A lot of what we perceive as coincidence is simply the inevitable result of a world filled with randomness. Think about it. Billions of people are making decisions, having thoughts, and interacting with each other every single day. That creates a massive playground for probability to work its magic. When you flip a coin, you know there's a 50-50 chance of heads or tails. But if you flip it 1,000 times, you're bound to get streaks of heads or tails. That doesn't mean the coin is rigged, just that randomness sometimes clusters. Coincidences are often the same principle, just on a much larger and more complex scale. Now let's talk about something called the law of truly large numbers. This is a statistical principle that basically states, with a large enough sample size, anything that time can happen probably will happen. It was coined by Percy Diaconis and Frederick Mosteller in 1989, and it's a pretty vital concept when considering coincidences. Think about winning the lottery. The odds are incredibly slim, but someone always wins. That's because millions of people buy tickets. The larger the population participating, the more likely it is that even an improbable event will occur. The world is a gigantic lottery, and coincidences are just some of the winning tickets. Another key concept is confirmation bias. This is a psychological tendency where we pay more attention to information that confirms our existing beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. When it comes to coincidences, confirmation bias can make us overestimate their significance. For example, if you're thinking about a specific model of car and then start seeing that car everywhere, you might think it's a sign. But the reality is, those cars were always there. You're just more aware of them now because they're on your mind. We selectively notice things that align with our thoughts, leading to a perception of more coincidences than actually exist. Closely related to confirmation bias is apophenia, which is the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. It's a common phenomenon and can be harmless, like seeing shapes in clouds. But in extreme cases, it can lead to conspiracy theories or superstitious beliefs. Apophenia explains why people might see hidden messages in song lyrics or believe that random number sequences have a special meaning. Our brains are wired to find patterns, even when those patterns are illusory. Coincidences can trigger this pattern-seeking behavior, leading us to believe there's something more going on than just chance. Then there's the concept of clustering illusion. This is the tendency to see patterns in random data, even when no true pattern exists. It's similar to apophenia, but it specifically applies to the perception of clusters or groupings. Imagine throwing darts at a dartboard randomly. You might notice that some darts land close together, forming a small cluster. You might even be tempted to think that you're aiming better than you are, or that something is influencing the darts. But in reality, those clusters are just a result of random chance. Coincidences can appear to cluster in our lives, making us think there's a larger force at play. Okay, so we've covered probability, the law of truly large numbers, confirmation bias, apophenia, and clustering illusion. But what about coincidences that seem too specific, too meaningful to be explained by simple chance? What about when the odds of something happening are astronomically low, yet it happens anyway? This is where things get a bit more subjective. Some statisticians argue that even incredibly rare events are bound to happen eventually. given enough time and opportunities. Others suggest that there might be other factors at play that we don't fully understand. One idea that's been explored is the concept of synchronicity, a term coined by the famous psychologist Carl Jung. Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, a connection between two or more events that are not causally related, but are perceived as having a symbolic significance. Jung believed that synchronicities were evidence of a deeper, interconnected reality, a collective unconscious that links all of us together. While Jung's ideas are fascinating, they're also highly controversial and haven't been scientifically proven. Still, the idea that coincidences can hold personal meaning for us is worth considering. It's important to distinguish between coincidence and causality. Just because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean that one caused the other. This is a common logical fallacy known as causation. For example, ice cream sales and crime rates tend to increase during the summer. Does that mean that eating ice cream causes crime? Of course not. The underlying factor is the warmer weather, which leads to both more ice cream consumption and more people being out and about, creating more opportunities for crime. Always be wary of assuming a causal link between coincidental events. Another interesting area to consider is how our perception of time can affect our experience of coincidences. Our brains don't experience time in a linear, objective way. Time can feel like it's speeding up or slowing down depending on our emotions, our level of stress, and our focus of attention. When we're experiencing a heightened emotional state, we might be more likely to notice coincidences and to imbue them with greater significance. Time seems to slow, the coincidence stands out. This could be why coincidences often seem to happen during times of stress, grief, or major life transitions. Our memory also plays a role in how we perceive coincidences. We don't remember everything perfectly. Our memories are often incomplete, distorted, and subject to biases. When we recall a past event, we might unconsciously fill in the gaps or alter the details to make the story more meaningful or coherent. This can lead us to overestimate the frequency or significance of coincidences in our past. We might remember only the times when our dreams seemed to predict the future, while forgetting all the times when they didn't. Selective memory can create the illusion of more meaningful coincidences than actually occurred. Let's think about technology for a second. In today's digital world, we're bombarded with information and interconnected in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Social media algorithms, targeted advertising, and personalized news feeds all contribute to a greater likelihood of encountering seemingly coincidental connections. If you search for a specific product online, you're likely to see ads for that product appearing everywhere you go. This might feel like a coincidence, but it's simply the result of sophisticated tracking and targeting techniques. Technology is creating more opportunities for these kinds of coincidences to occur. Going a bit meta for a moment, the very act of looking for coincidences can actually increase the likelihood of finding them. When we're actively searching for patterns and connections, we're more likely to notice them, even if they're just random occurrences. This is similar to the phenomenon of priming, where exposure to one stimulus influences our response to a subsequent stimulus. If you're primed to look for coincidences, you're more likely to find them, even in the most mundane situations. It's like deciding to buy a car. You start seeing that car everywhere because you're looking for it. What about precognition or psychic abilities? Could some coincidences be the result of genuine extrasensory perception? While many people believe in psychic phenomena, there's currently no scientific evidence to support their existence. Controlled experiments have consistently failed to demonstrate reliable precognitive abilities. While it's tempting to attribute some coincidences to psychic powers, it's important to rely on evidence-based explanations and avoid jumping to conclusions. That said, belief in psychic powers is common enough that it can drive behavior and perception of coincidences. Even if coincidences are ultimately the result of chance and psychological biases, they can still have a profound impact on our lives. They can spark creativity, inspire new ideas, and lead us down unexpected paths. Many scientific discoveries and artistic breakthroughs have been inspired by seemingly coincidental events. A chance observation, a random encounter, or an unexpected connection can lead to a major breakthrough. Embrace the power of serendipity and be open to the possibilities that coincidences can bring. Coincidences can also serve as powerful reminders of the interconnectedness of things. They can remind us that we're all part of a larger system and that our actions can have far-reaching consequences. A small act of kindness, a chance encounter, or a seemingly insignificant decision can ripple outwards, affecting the lives of others in ways we might never imagine. Coincidences can highlight these hidden connections and inspire us to be more mindful of our impact on the world. On a more personal level, coincidences can provide comfort and meaning during times of uncertainty or loss. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, a seemingly coincidental encounter with a shared memory or a familiar symbol can provide a sense of connection and reassurance. While it's important to avoid relying on coincidences as a primary source of meaning or guidance, they can offer moments of solace and hope during difficult times. Just be sure you are viewing these with a balanced perspective. Coincidences in storytelling are powerful tools. Authors and filmmakers often use coincidences to create dramatic tension, advance the plot, or explore themes of fate, destiny, and interconnectedness. Think about movies where characters' lives are intertwined by a series of unlikely events, or novels where seemingly random occurrences reveal a hidden pattern. These stories resonate with us because they tap into our own fascination with coincidences and our desire to find meaning in the world around us. Coincidence is often a lazy writing trope, but when used well, it can be a powerful tool. Let's consider the philosophical implications for a second. The existence of coincidences raises questions about free will, determinism, and the nature of reality itself. If everything is predetermined, then coincidences might be seen as inevitable outcomes of a fixed system. On the other hand, if we have free will, then coincidences might be seen as random occurrences with no inherent meaning. The debate about free will versus determinism has been going on for centuries, and there's no easy answer. But considering the role of chance and coincidence can add a new dimension to this age-old discussion. Throughout history, different cultures have interpreted coincidences in various ways. Some cultures see them as signs from the gods, messages from the spirit world, or omens of good or bad fortune. Others view them as purely random occurrences with no inherent meaning. These cultural interpretations can shape our perception of coincidences and influence how we respond to them. Whether you see them as divine interventions or random chance, the way you interpret coincidences can have a significant impact on your beliefs and your behavior. Let's look at some famous coincidences throughout history. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846 and president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946 and president in 1960. Both were deeply involved in civil rights. Both were shot in the head on a Friday. These are the things that get people thinking. Then there's the Edgar Allan Poe story from 1838, the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. It told of 4 shipwrecked sailors who draw straws to decide who to kill and eat. The loser was named Richard Parker. Decades later, in 1884, a real-life yacht sank, and the surviving crew did the exact same thing. The loser? Richard Parker. So what's the takeaway from all of this? The science behind coincidences is complex and multifaceted. It involves probability, statistics, psychology, and even philosophy. While many coincidences can be explained by chance and psychological biases, some remain mysterious and open to interpretation. Ultimately, whether you see coincidences as random occurrences or meaningful events is a matter of personal belief. But understanding the science behind them can help you to appreciate the role of chance in our lives and to be more mindful of the patterns and connections that surround us. Here's a fun exercise you can try. Keep a coincidence journal for a week. Write down any seemingly coincidental events that happen to you, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem. Then, at the end of the week, review your journal and see if you can identify any patterns or themes. Are there certain types of coincidences that seem to happen more often than others? Do they tend to occur during specific times or situations? Are there any connections between the coincidences and your thoughts, feelings, or experiences? This exercise can help you to become more aware of coincidences in your life and to explore their potential meaning. Let's talk about the role of intuition in perceiving coincidences. While intuition is often dismissed as unscientific or irrational, it can actually be a valuable tool for recognizing patterns and making connections. Intuition is essentially a form of pattern recognition that operates at a subconscious level. Our brains are constantly processing vast amounts of information, and sometimes they can detect subtle patterns that we're not consciously aware of. These patterns can manifest as gut feelings, hunches, or intuitive insights. When it comes to coincidences, intuition can help us to recognize meaningful connections that we might otherwise miss. It is important to note the dangers of overinterpreting coincidences. While it's natural to want to find meaning in the world around us, it's also important to avoid falling into the trap of seeing patterns where none exist. Overinterpreting coincidences can lead to superstitious beliefs, conspiracy theories, or even delusional thinking. It's important to maintain a healthy dose of skepticism and to rely on evidence-based reasoning when evaluating the significance of coincidental events. There's a fine line between finding meaning and seeing patterns that are simply not there. Let's bring back up Carl Jung and expand a little. Jung believed that synchronicities were not just random occurrences, but rather meaningful signs from the unconscious mind. He saw them as a way for the unconscious to communicate with the conscious mind, providing guidance, insight, and even warnings. Jung argued that synchronicities often occur during times of psychological stress or transformation, when the individual is grappling with important life issues. He believed that by paying attention to these synchronicities, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Whether you believe in Jung's theories or not, the idea that coincidences can hold personal meaning is worth exploring. Thinking about randomness. Genuine randomness is surprisingly hard to create. Our brains are wired to find patterns, so even when we try to generate random numbers or sequences, we often end up introducing subtle biases. Computer algorithms can generate pseudo-random numbers, but these are not truly random. They are based on mathematical formulas, which means that they are ultimately predictable. True randomness is often found in natural phenomena, such as radioactive decay or atmospheric noise. The difficulty of creating genuine randomness highlights the challenge of understanding coincidences, which often involve the interplay between chance and pattern. Let's revisit the lottery example again. People often play the same numbers every week, believing that their chosen numbers are lucky or that they're somehow destined to win. This is a classic example of the quote-quote fallacy. The mistaken belief that if something happens more frequently than normal during a given period, it will happen less frequently in the future, or vice versa. In reality, each lottery drawing is an independent event, and the odds of winning are the same every time, regardless of what happened in previous drawings. The belief in lucky numbers or winning streaks is a testament to our tendency to find patterns in randomness, even when no true pattern exists. Okay, one last thought. Embrace the mystery. While science can help us understand the statistical and psychological factors that contribute to coincidences, there will always be an element of mystery and wonder. Coincidences can remind us that the world is full of surprises and that there are forces at play that we don't fully understand. Instead of trying to explain away every coincidence, allow yourself to be amazed by the unexpected connections and the strange synchronicities that life throws our way. As we've explored the oddities, remember to explore the rest of the channel for other strange facts. And if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and subscribe and hit that like button. So the next time you experience a strange coincidence, take a moment to reflect on it. Consider the statistical probabilities, the psychological biases, and the potential meanings it might hold. But most importantly, embrace the mystery and allow yourself to be amazed by the interconnectedness of things. It's important to have a healthy sense of skepticism and also a childlike wonder. There's a lot to unpack when we consider coincidences, and I hope this conversation helped provide a new, balanced perspective on the phenomena. Thank you for joining me today. Hopefully you enjoyed this deep dive into the science behind coincidences.